Is Ashley joining us today, Leslie?
Yeah, she's just finishing up a conversation with someone here.
Okay.
How come we don't get to see Leslie?
She never lets us see her.
I know, the voice
I
behind.
don't have a camera.
Okay,
Good morning,
old
everyone.
school.
How are you?
good morning.
Miss Ashley is here. Ashley, are John and Ellen coming, or do we know, or?
As far as I know, they're coming, yes.
Oh, there you are. You popped up
Right.
in a different place now that you're live.
Ellen said she might have to call in.
Okay. Well, it is 9:30. We do have a quorum. So let's do roll call, please.
Linda Calafiore,
Present?
Donna Jett,
Present.
Ellen Martin, Don Mysick, Judy Refuerzo.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you. Announcements from commissioners. Donna, Linda.
No, I think we're gonna cover it later today. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Donna, anything? Nope.
Nope.
I'm excited. I hope that Ashley, under announcements from staff,
morning.
will. Oh, there she is. Hi, Ellen. Do you have anything, Ellen, for announcements from commissioners?
I just want to say thank you to all the staff for that great Halloween parade. We just loved it. And I know it took a lot of coordination, but I think everybody in the community really had a great time. So thank you in these difficult times of putting that together.
Yeah, echo. It was just, everyone was so happy, and it was so nice to see the positive energy everywhere.
Right. I'm sure
I'm hoping you didn't get one complaint, Ashley.
we'll hear about it during the update, the action item report on that. So Ashley, announcements from staff, maybe the home crafters?
Well, we'll cover home crafters and Veterans Day and all of that when we get to the item at the end of the agenda where we're talking about the calendar for the rest of the year. So we'll discuss all of those and where we're headed. I don't have any other announcements besides that. We're just deep in the thick of organizing. Leslie's been tackling home crafters and tree lighting. So stay tuned. End of the meeting will be fun.
All right. Orders of business approval of the minutes.
Public appearances, Judy.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Public appearances. For anything that's not on today's agenda.
Ashley, am I on the agenda or am I doing a public appearance?
You're on the agenda, Amy.
Okay.
Nancy?
I have just one quick one that tonight CRA is hosting Will Bullis at the Sunset Center, Carpenter Hall at 5 o'clock, and welcome anybody and everybody to attend. He's always a delight and humorous, and of course have brought great art to share as a part of his story. So welcome anyone.
Should be a fun evening. Anyone else? Wanda?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to speak on this or just regarding the Halloween parade. I just wanted to thank Ashley and the staff and all of your hard work for a great parade. Our CERT team walked in at Community Emergency Response Team, and not only was it a great community event that was so well attended, everybody was so happy, but it was also a team building event at the same time. So thank you.
Thanks, Wanda.
All right. Anyone else? No. All right. Now approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
I second it.
Leslie?
Linda Calafiore,
Yes.
Donna Jett,
Yes.
Ellen Martin,
Yes.
Judy Refuerzo.
Yes.
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Consider a request from Visit Carmel to hold a kickoff event for Culinary Week in January on Mission Street and 6th, and make recommendation to council regarding the serving of alcohol at the event.
So I'll provide an introduction, and then I will turn it over to Amy so she can talk more about Carmel Culinary Week. So some of you I know attended Carmel Culinary Week the first year in January of 2020. So there were events happening all over town at different restaurants, tastings, fixed price menus, and you could access all of these via app. And then there were also special programs you could buy tickets to. And obviously, there was no Culinary Week in January of 2021 because we were in the thick of the pandemic with no vaccines yet. However, Visit Carmel is looking at bringing Culinary Week back again in January of 2022. And Culinary Week is great because one of the things it does is it seeks to bring people to Carmel during a quiet time of the year. So November, December, and January are pretty quiet here. So it looks to bring out-of-town visitors during that week to go to our restaurants and bring awareness about what's happening, but also involve locals who are here in January when it's quiet and show them what our restaurants can do. When the event first launched in January of 2020, there wasn't a big type of kickoff event, but that's what's proposed for this year. And it would be Friday, January 14th to start that Culinary Week off on Mission Street and 6th Avenue. So the same footprint as the farmer's market. So no different. I know the last request that you all considered involved Ocean Avenue, which has got a little bit controversial. But as we've seen, the footprint of the farmer's market works well, and there's not a lot of impact to adjacent businesses. And so the Visit Carmel is proposing to work with the Carmel Restaurant Improvement District, the Monterey County vintners and growers who have experience with doing events on our street, so Dolores, and then going up 7th for that annual event that's usually in May. And then the Monterey Symphony will be part of this as well. And that will be a ticketed event, and there will be alcohol served. And that is one of the reasons why this needs to go to council, because nibbles and alcohol go very well together, but we need permission from the council to serve alcohol on the streets. And Amy, I will now turn it over to you to talk more about the details of Culinary Week and all that you guys do and the impacts that it has in drawing visitors to our community.
Yes, thank you, Ashley. And it's great to see you all again. It's been a while since I've been in front of this committee, and I'm happy to be here. Ashley, I have a deck. I can share screen, or do you have that for sharing?
Go ahead and share, Amy.
Okay. So I just thought, hang on 1 second. Don't know why it's not. Let me try one more time. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. You see it? It's like, okay, great. So I thought it might be helpful to just provide a little more background about the impetus for the creation of Culinary Week and a reminder of kind of what the week entails. I know some of you were involved 2 years ago, as Ashley said, but just for everyone's review, I just wanted to kind of give you a little more background on what Culinary Week is. And then at the end of that, I'll get to a little more details regarding this kickoff event. So as Ashley mentioned, we began this event 2 years ago. So the inaugural event took place in January of 2020. And that was created pretty much as part of the Restaurant Improvement District, of which Visit Carmel is the administrator of which is, of course, a marketing entity. I mean, as you are aware, Visit Carmel is also the destination marketing organization for the entirety of Carmel-by-the-Sea, as we're partners with the city, as well as with the Hospitality Improvement District, to create an overall destination marketing program. But the thoughts behind creating Carmel Culinary Week on behalf of the destination involved our overall goals to elevate Carmel-by-the-Sea as a culinary destination and elevate its culinary brand. It was also to provide an event that took place in a very traditionally slow time of year. But it was also very much had the local residents in mind. All the restaurants have continued to make it clear to us that their local client base is as important, if not more important, than visitor relationships. I mean, we're obviously interested in both for our restaurants. We need both to maintain the level of restaurants we have in town. But quite frankly, their loyalties really are geared toward the locals. And I'm bringing that up now because I'm going to circle back to that at the end of this. But on the restaurant side of things, Visit Carmel also wanted to create something that would provide a benefit directly back to the those who are paying into the RID. So it was an opportunity for them to gain new diners or provide something to their like loyal customers, an opportunity for a lot more marketing exposure. Again, bringing in people during what it can be a very slow month, and then we wanted to create an event that was very much doable, that we could put the marketing had financial support from Visit Carmel and the RID built in, so that in a way we can ensure at least a very baseline level of a success. What we don't want to do is spend money if we can't provide a return in some respects, and we also don't want to create something that's too complicated or hard to implement. And we also don't want to put strain on the participants, those restaurants, especially now more than ever. At the same time, we want to provide equity so that any restaurant in town that wants to be a part of this event can be a part of it. And so that kind of went into the functioning of how we built this event. But in terms of the marketing support that we provide, it's everything from the branding and the logo, and the art of the plate, by the way, is kind of the part of the logo of the Carmel Culinary Week. And that was very well thought out in terms of kind of bringing in what we think makes Carmel-by-the-Sea distinctive with our art history. And we really do feel like there's so many of our chefs and restaurateurs who are artists in their own right, and we wanted to kind of honor that. It's also because we are just also want to emphasize that this is not like some restaurant weeks are very like discount oriented, and that's not what this is intended to be. And I think that shows in the program and a lot of the branding and marketing we're doing, and I can talk about that in a minute as well. But between, we had KSBW as a media sponsor last year that afforded us a lot of local TV exposure, banners down Ocean Avenue, TV commercials, digital ad campaigns that are targeted locally as well as regionally. So 2 years ago, we had 1,738 passports downloaded onto phones. And I'll explain the passport in a minute. And about half of those were Monterey Peninsula residents. So we really do feel like this is a hybrid of a visitor event as well as a locally oriented event. We had 22 restaurants of our 50 or so that participated 2 years ago, and 307 tickets to events sold. And then here's just examples of kind of the digital ad campaigns and what that looked like, as well as, as I mentioned, local TV exposure, videos that showed up on social media and people's feeds. We created a brochure that was distributed amongst the hotels as well as other visitor serving businesses that explained where to go. You didn't necessarily need to have the mobile guide on your phone. Posters, banners on Ocean Avenue, that level of support behind the event. And with everything we do with Visit Carmel, we employ the use of an ad agency and a PR agency, as well as ourselves, to provide a really integrated marketing plan and integrate across what we call paid, owned, and earned media. And then just regarding the logistics of the event itself, what this consists of is the use of technology where the guest is encouraged to download a mobile passport where they can access all the information about the event and attend the event just based on the information that they then have on their phone. And the different components of this event, and again, this is open to any restaurant that is part of the Restaurant Improvement District, they can participate in just one part of this or all, or whatever works best for that restaurant. But one of the main parts of it was a prefix menu. So on this mobile passport, every restaurant participating with a prefix menu that would be accessed right on your phone. You could see what that menu was, as well as information about the restaurant, things like that. And again, what we're trying to emphasize this year, even more than 2 years ago, is we really would like to encourage the restaurants not to look at this as like a way to offer like a discount prefix. It's more about elevating, providing something unique and like something that's not usually found on the menu, something different and creative, and to be creative here, and not just like try and slash prices and put together 3 courses. The second option is to offer an incentive. So like there are a couple restaurants that prefix doesn't work for them. Like take like a Carmel, for instance. It may not work for them to do a prefix, but they can offer an incentive as part of it. So it could be that, with the order of an entree, you go get a free cookie, or that's just an example, but that would be an example of an incentive offer. And then the third component were these event experiences. And the thought behind this was to offer intimate events that felt immersive and educational, that offered demos, or that people could come and really feel like they kind of like learned something and had a hands-on experience with a chef, for instance. So these were just some of the kinds of events that we had. Some were free, some were ticketed. Again, all of the tickets can be bought via this app. And as you can see, we had a wide variety of different kinds of events that were offered, including working with Carmel Youth Center on some parent-kid cooking classes, which were really great. So that's basically the main components of what Culinary Week was and is going to be for January of 2022. But the new part we would love to get your blessing on is this kickoff party. And some of the feedback we received 2 years ago from restaurants as well as attendees was that they really felt like they would have liked to have some kind of community-oriented kickoff to the week. And we totally agree, especially now more than ever. Again, we're all still kind of coming out, hopefully, of what's been a really tricky 2 years. And it's a good time to, just as you were all saying, the Halloween parade, it created this like community spirit. It felt like there was positive energy out there. And we would really like to continue that. But we want to do it in a way, again, that's not too reliant on these restaurants who are overstretched right now to help us make this a success. We want to honor them, and we want to create buzz and excitement and energy for the event, but in a way that we can be successful. And this is also very much to be focused on the community. This is not something we'd really be expecting visitors. I mean, if they want to attend, of course they can, but this is really to be focused on giving back to the community that's been supportive of the restaurants and all this time, and create this community bond. So as Ashley said, it would take place on Friday, January 14th for about 2 hours only, from about 3 to 5. That's our first day of the 10-day Carmel Culinary Week. It would be in that same footprint as the Farmers Market. It's a partnership between Visit Carmel, as well as the Monterey County Vintners and Growers Association and the Monterey Symphony to provide some entertainment. And the reason we wanted to tap into Monterey County Vintners and Growers is they really have the expertise with putting on events in the public space, and they're experienced with it. It's not something that we have at Visit Carmel. We don't really actually function in that event space the way that they do. And so it would be a real partnership between Visit Carmel and the Monterey County Vintners and Growers. We'd be really relying on them to actually kind of execute the event itself, and Visit Carmel would be executing all the marketing support behind that event and just the vision of it. It would be a ticketed event. I don't know what the price for the ticket will be at this point, but it would, the crux of the event would be wine tasting with some light bites. Either the Vintners and Growers Association will also provide at least some nibbles, because we don't want to have wine tasting without some food available as well as part of that. Right now, I know a lot of the restaurants have said they really would like to be a part of also being able to provide food, and we would like to do that. We are just trying to figure out what the Health County permitting process would be to elevate it to the restaurants being a part of it. So that's still a little bit up in the air. It would feel like it would be like a fun event that would be festive. We want to have kind of a step and repeat entryway at that Carmel Shell mural. We're probably going to have signage that instructs everyone how to like download that passport onto their phone. So it really feels like we're kicking off, and we'll have the brochures there and everyone can kind of see the schedule of events and the offerings for that 10-day period. We're looking at creating some really cool swag item. Like right now we're looking at either bright blue knit scarves or knit hats because it's wintry that are like classy, like branded with like Carmel Culinary Week on like leather patches. Because the idea is we want all the locals to be walking around wearing these bright blue things and just like kind of spreading out that energy and that excitement, like something's going on in town this week. So that's basically our vision. And then, we're working with Monterey Symphony on providing some musical entertainment, and that's still being fleshed out as well. So that's the vision. And as Ashley stated, it would involve obviously drinking in the public right of way. And so we want to make sure we go through that process with you all and hope that you're enthusiastic as we are.
Thank you.
Sure.
So I have a question and I'll open up for questions to commissioners and then to public comment. But so we don't know the price of the ticket yet, but is there a cap to how many people you are going to allow into this event?
Well, again, so I'm leaning on the Monterey County Vintners and Growers who have done this before, and I'm trying to find out if there is a cap, like per square foot of space. So if there is, then certainly we would comply with that. We are envisioning 250 to 300 though. And the ticket sales would be conducted by the Monterey County Vintners and Growers, and they would retain that income to cover their costs. So this is not a venture that Visit Carmel is looking at making any kind of money on.
With 250 to 300 people, Ashley maybe can answer this. Are there restrictions for COVID? Do you have to show proof of vaccination? Do you have to wear masks? Do you have to either?
Not at that level, Judy. It's okay. When you get into, I think, past 5,000 people, like we saw for Car Week, where those restrictions kick into place. However, and I think Amy would agree with me on this, for all of the events that we do here in the city of Carmel-by-the-Sea, encouraging people to wear their masks, not come if they're feeling sick or have been sick, all of those things will continue to be important for any and all events that happen here in town.
Okay, Donna?
My question is the passport. Is the passport a separate price than this ticketed event? If someone wants a passport but doesn't want to go to the ticket event, is the price of the passport, what does that cost, and what does that entitle you to? And the event sounds wonderful. I'm 100% for the event. My question is, if people brought children, which some do, even in strollers from 3 to 5, is there some kind of, I don't want to say activity, or are they allowed, is it adults only? My other question, entertainment at the event, which is wonderful. Is the symphony going to donate the symphony people, musicians? Are they paid, which is fine too? Because I was curious, because a lot of these events, they bring us a budget, and not that it has to be a certain way, but where the passport, if it's free, that's one issue. If there's $10, obviously that would probably barely cover the cost of setting up the whole passport system. So children, entertainment, cost of the passport, I can see where the ticketed event, you wouldn't possibly know yet, but I did want to know more about the passport.
Yep, happy to answer that. So passport is completely free. It's just a free download. There's a QR code and you put it on your phone, and it gives you all the information that you need for what's happening at the various participating restaurants. Obviously, when you go to a restaurant and order the prefix menu, there's a cost there. But the passport itself is free. And the only other area where someone might choose to spend money is for those smaller experiences I was mentioning that the restaurants may offer, like a cooking class or something. So again, when you have the passport, which on your phone, you can look at the offerings, look at the cost, look at how many people are, and then you can purchase your ticket that way. So, but to access the information, that's completely free. I hadn't thought about children at that event, but my instinct would be that would probably be a no. It's only 2 hours. It's basically almost entirely focused on wine tasting, and I don't see why having children would make a lot of sense. I know we'd have fencing and security, and when people, at some point, and again, this is Monterey County Vintners are used to doing this, obviously someone's gonna have to be over 21 to attend. And then your third question was on passport, children, and the symphony. The symphony is funding their own entertainment. Visit Carmel has offered to assist with any lodging at hotels that they may need, because I know a lot of the symphony members do not live locally.
The other question was seating. Will there be seating, or just 300 people standing for the 2 hours and tasting and bites?
To be determined. I would envision this as mostly standing, but that's not. But I know that there are requirements regarding accessibility and some other things, and so I don't know. I would imagine there's also going to be some seating, but it's not a seated event, if that makes sense.
Right. Thank you.
How many restaurants do you have signed up for this year or in 2022?
Yeah. Well, as I mentioned, 2 years ago, we had 22 of around 50 full service restaurants participating. And I'm very happy to announce that as of yesterday, have 29 that have indicated participation at some level of those 3 options that I gave: the prefix, the experience, and/or the incentive offer.
Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Any other commissioners with questions? I have just one comment, Amy. You might go back and fix that very last slide you showed us. It said 8 days instead of 10, and
I saw.
and I've already gone. I went to the past event 2 years ago, and and it's already up. You're already advertising. I saw it. Yeah, so.
Okay, as I was looking at that, I was like, oh, that does say 8 days, but it's 10. I saw that. Thank you. Good eyes, Judy.
Okay, thank you. So let's open it up to the public comment. Anyone? Nancy likes it with a thumbs up. Donna likes it with a thumbs up. Go ahead, Donna. Well, I'll close public comment since that was it. Donna?
In order for the restaurant to be in the passport, they have to offer either a prefix or a special cookie or an event to participate.
Special incentive. I mean, the cookie was just a very specific example. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you.
1 or 2 or 3 of those options makes them part of the passport, and then also part of our marketing. So they're on the posters. We usually do a full page ad, at least one full page ad, if not more, in the Pine Cone, and we list all the participating restaurants and all those.
Yeah, I do have another question. Mm-hmm. The swag. If somebody wasn't at the event for out of town and they wanted to buy a hat or a scarf, will that be for sale at the visitor center or chamber somewhere?
Well, so Visit Carmel is not in the business of like making money like that. It's just not an area we want to put our energy. So I doubt it. But to be honest, I have a meeting this afternoon with our Carmel Culinary Week committee, and they don't, we're proposing, this option is for their consideration as well. And so, I mean, I don't want to say no, but it's just not an area that we probably would venture into.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, I do have just a mechanical question, and I suppose it really doesn't matter that much, but so the restaurants in Culinary Week, not this event, in Culinary Week, don't they, the restaurants need to be a part of the Carmel Restaurant Improvement District?
Correct.
Participate?
Yep.
But because this particular kickoff event is more wine focused, they just be a part of the wine shops, wine tasting community, predominantly, right?
The kickoff event would be
wine focused,
buoyed by Monterey County wines.
Yeah.
Right now, we're figuring out the logistics of any restaurant that's part of the RID and part of Culinary Week. If they want to be part of this kickoff event, we are just trying to get the details on if they can do that in a way that's going to make sense for them. But it would be we would be relying on the wine tasting, and then the extra restaurant participation would be potentially bonus. But again, they would have to be a restaurant in good standing in the RID, as well as part of Culinary Week to be part of that.
Are you going to limit the wineries to, I know it's Monterey County Vintners, but are you going to limit them to Carmel wineries, or are you going to just have any wineries? And is there a limit to how many we're going to have?
I don't know the answer on the limit, but we would not limit it. We would be limited to any one part of the Monterey County Vintners or Growers. Again, like that's their association's call. So.
Anything else? So Ashley, how do we move on with this?
So what I think you've given Amy a lot of good food for thought as she moves forward with the planning for this. So that's one piece of this is what we were looking for. The second part of what I'm looking for is a recommendation from this commission by motion that I can take to the city council in December, recommending the serving of alcohol in the public right of way for this event. If the council or if the commission so chooses to do so.
You're looking for a motion to recommend that this Culinary Week event go to the council for their approval.
For the serving of alcohol in the public right of way.
We're just talking about the kickoff event, not the Culinary Week, correct?
Right.
Serving alcohol.
Right. The Culinary Week is going to be taking place. All of the event venues are private property, so we're not shutting streets down. None of that is happening. But for this piece in particular, it's not the closing of the streets. It's the fact that there will be alcohol in the public right of way, and that's the piece that we need approval from council. And so that was, not only is this a new event for all of you to look at and weigh in on, but also to recommend to council that they approve the serving of alcohol for this event, to support this event.
Donna, did I intrude on your motion?
No, I was asking what the motion would sound like.
Okay.
Yes, you the way you said that, Donna, was what the motion would sound like.
But I had said Culinary Week, when it's really a motion for the gathering on January the 14th. To use the streets. Okay.
Serve alcohol.
Right. Approving the serving of alcohol in the public right of way.
Okay, I make a motion that we recommend the council approves the serving of alcohol on January the 14th for the kickoff of Culinary Week.
I'll second.
Linda Calafiore,
Yes.
Donna Jett,
Yes.
Ellen Martin,
Yes.
Judy Refresco.
Yes.
Approved. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy.
Thank you so much, and great to see you all.
Yes.
Thanks, Amy.
Thanks.
All right. The next item is a fun one. Receive a Halloween after action report and discuss. Ashley.
All right. So, as mentioned earlier in this meeting, we had a little parade here a couple weeks back. This was our first big event, I would say, city-led event. Sandcastle was big, but more spread out since the pandemic hit. And we did some changes. So some of these were changes I had been thinking about pre-pandemic, and some of them were caused because of changes happening in scheduling for the pandemic. So during the past 25 years or so, the event has been held on the first Saturday before Halloween at 11 a.m. and launched from Sunset Center, did a loop down Ocean, came back up and landed back at Sunset Center for a luncheon at 12, which was cake and hot dogs, as you will all remember. Prior to the pandemic, I had been thinking of changing the parade to always be on actual Halloween. I know that Halloween is the city's birthday, and that's important to educate our residents and new community members about our history, but at the same time, it's Halloween. And, you know, especially for kids and families, that's what it's about. It's about the Halloween fun. And prior to holding the event at Sunset Center, the parade had been held on actual Halloween always, and it had been held after school so that kids could participate in their costumes and then head off to trick-or-treating afterwards. And so I wanted to test bringing that back and getting our families more involved in being downtown in the community, especially since during the pandemic, we saw an influx, I think, in young families coming to our village. In addition, there was a scheduling conflict with the Bach Festival. They were at Sunset Center when we wanted to launch from San Carlos Street. So we contemplated launching the parade from Mountain View, just as we do with the homecoming parade. But if any of you have volunteered for any of our events or homecoming in particular, the traffic control at that intersection with a 5-way stop is just a bear. And so we worked with the police department to test out launching the parade from Mission and 6th, which are kind of becoming the go-to place, our footprint for the farmers market. So that's what we did this year. And the other change we did besides the time and date and location was we didn't do a full hot dog luncheon this year. As you'll remember, there's condiments, there's drinks, it's a whole layout. And what we did instead was we had individually packaged cupcakes. There were 200 of them, which was not enough. So those are all the big changes that we made. So going into what worked, I would argue that attendance at the parade and participation were, I'd say, better than it has been in the years past. And I've been participating in the community activities event since 2014. And it may be that, it's not as spread out as the, large wide boulevard of San Carlos and Sunset Center, but it just felt like there were more people. The vibe was really great and enthusiastic and festive. And it felt like there was something really fun and interesting happening downtown. Mission and 6th were a great place to stage. That worked pretty well. I'd say the one challenge there is that if the parade gets any larger than we had it with those 2 blocks, we're going to have a problem because I'm not sure we're going to stage everybody, especially with the fire department there on 6th. We have to be cognizant of keeping lanes open for them. I'm not quite sure. I do want to talk to Jenny at the chamber and see how the businesses felt about having this downtown, if they saw trick-or-treaters or not. I tried to send out things to them leading up to the parade, but and keep an eye on decorations and things like that. So I think there's probably more opportunity there further in advance to reach out to the business owners and make sure that they're included and involved. Devendorf Park looked amazing, thanks to Brian and Lauren Andrus. Leslie and I worked with Public Works to get the lights up and some of the spider webs, but Brian and Lauren took it to a whole new level with their skeletons and the spider and the talking plant, and it really made the park feel festive. And I think we should continue decorating the park like that around Halloween time because it just felt so fun. Carmel Cares ended the parade for us, and they helped pick up after the parade, which was wonderful of them to do that. Great to see not only a community group participate in the parade, but actually in action, doing what they do. So that was nice. As I mentioned, cupcakes were fantastic. If you managed to see one before they disappeared, I would like to keep doing cupcakes, much less messy than cutting up giant sheet cakes. And portable, I would have 500 instead of 200. My goodness. And then we had a lot of really great participation in the parade. A lot of community groups that hadn't participated in a while. And so I would hope that that would continue. A lot of people came to me during that last week before the parade, like they had finally heard about it despite my nagging emails for a month. So that's just the nature of the parade. Up until the day before, people were like, I heard about the parade, I want to come join. Everybody can join. So, and then for improvement, not enough cupcakes. And then some logistical things for the banners, for the cars, for our council members and boards and commissions. Get magnets for the back of those banners. The ropes just aren't working. The cars are all different sizes. Some have mirrors, some don't. We need the walkie-talkies we have that were given to us by the police department weren't working, and these were old old walkie-talkies. So it's time for us to replace those. And Nancy will attest to this as somebody who was on the ground doing traffic control. It would be very helpful when we know when to slide those barriers in place. Everything worked just fine, but when you're standing there with the mob of people behind you and grouchy drivers and cars, it would be nice to know what's coming. So I intend to invest in walkie-talkies. And then blocking off traffic at the opposite end of each of the side streets leading onto Ocean. So we had them blocked off at Ocean all the way down from Mission to Monteverde, but also blocking off traffic at 7th on one side of Ocean Avenue and 6th on the other side. So people can't make that turn down because people were getting stuck. So we would have 2 sets of barricades on those side streets, if that makes sense, to keep people going parallel down. And then we did have a fire department event that same day. They were doing their obstacle course and run, and they were having a grand time. It was very fun. They were still going when we got here. But I would recommend either that they break down at least an hour or 2 sooner, or that we don't have the events on the same day, especially since they were adjacent to each other. They were using the space that we had set aside for staging to have their vehicles in case of emergency and they had to leave, which hampered us in getting our parade vehicles staged there for a little while. So I think we can work on that and work with them and it will be just fine. But those are the things that I noticed. Thank you for everybody who sent me emails with their thoughts and ideas afterwards. And so I will open it up to all of you for your thoughts and contributions to our after action.
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
The drummers, that was a very hot item. Everybody loved them. And then they went to the park to listen to them. I didn't see where they were from that said Yamaha on the drums. And I didn't know if they were paid anything, because that and the Shrek music is the only ones that I noticed.
Yeah, the drummers were from Seaside High. And that was a rather last minute addition where someone came to me and said, I've got these drummers. We heard about this. Can the drum line be in the parade? And I said, you bet they can. So, yeah, we didn't have as much music as I thought we were going to, but, and that's something I'd like to explore. I did reach out to Carmel High to see if they wanted to participate in any of their clubs, but I didn't hear back from their coordinator. So again, it's just starting this in advance enough to make sure I have enough time to gently nag people to make a commitment one way or another.
Just Donna, the drummers were Clive's, who works for Public Works. So his sons are part of that group. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of where that connection came from. But there was also the Carmel bagpiper that joined up early on. And, I think he's great. But potentially he got drowned out a little bit by some of the others when they were in the same area in the turnaround or whatever. But it was great to have him. And then CRA was supposed to have music, but we had a bunch of faux pas that screwed us up. So we just did the banner. So yeah, all good. Nothing but good stuff with the event. It was excellent.
I thought ending up in the park was genius, and then when the drummers came into the park too, it's a lot easier. And now that it's not ending at lunch, you don't have to have that. Cupcakes are fine, and individual cupcakes, because you don't have to serve a lunch because it's getting over at noon and, everybody's expecting it. I thought it was just great and lots of energy, everybody, and the decorations were absolutely fabulous. When did the giant skeletons in the plant go up and the spider?
Those went up a couple of days. Well, the spider came, I think, the morning of. The skeletons kind of trickled their way in the last 2 days before the parade. We were concerned about, they're so cool, but also
vandalism.
Yeah, that's just,
yeah.
It's always a concern.
They were so cool.
Yes, they were so cool. So I'd like to keep that relationship going with Lauren and Brian, or maybe the city needs to invest in their own giant skeletons, because those just were so fun and visible as you were coming down Ocean Avenue. And the fact that the one giant one in that corner by the Holiday Redwood was dressed like a golfer was just so appropriate.
So did you hear, somebody asked this originally before we started. I don't know, it might have been Donna. Did you hear complaints? What complaints did you hear from the community, if any?
The complaints that I heard leading up to it wasn't even the day of, it was leading up to the parade where people weren't happy that we weren't having hot dogs. So there were a couple groups that offered to do hot dogs, but then they kind of fizzled out. I'm not saying that we can't have hot dogs again in the future. In fact, we did have a suggestion to keep the north side of Ocean closed right there next to the park between Unipro and Mission. And then we could do food, if we wanted to go back to doing something like the hot dog afternoon snack or whatever we call it now, because it's not lunchtime, and cupcakes or cake or something like that. We could do it there on the street, and that way, because the park is just if it's going to be like that, it was jam packed. That wouldn't work. So it's not that hot dogs can't come back. It's just for this year, it didn't work for us. And now seeing the lay of land, we can factor in adding those in. The other thing I heard was, we've always done it at Sunset Center. And we did do it at Sunset Center, as I pointed out in my staff report, for a number of years. But we also did have it after school prior to that. I remember seeing pictures of, for a few years, there was a barbecue in Devendorf Park after the parade. Leslie can chime in that there were times where the parade ended down at the beach and everybody got ice cream. So things have changed over the years. And they'll continue to do that. There's always good tradition. I think the Halloween piece of this is the most important, because if you want to go really far back, like I did as the local history librarian, one of the reasons why the parade got started in the first place was, yes, because of the incorporation date, but also because the youth in Carmel were so out of control and vandalizing everything with soaping windows down Ocean Avenue. And I think a good example is if you've ever seen Meet Me in St. Louis, where those kids are just on the rampage, that musical, that's what it sounds like from the Pinecone articles. And so the parents decided to start a parade to try to corral the children. And the articles after they did that are hilarious, because there were still rogue children who were throwing rotten fruit at everybody who was participating in the parade. I mean, and even into the 50s, you can see pictures of Ocean Avenue where the windows have been soaped. There's toilet paper, shaving cream everywhere. So and then of course there's midnight pumpkin rolling. So the parade has had lots of different iterations and lots of different thoughts behind its meaning and its history. And I think one of the most important things is fun. It should be fun and enjoyable for families and whoever wants to participate.
Wanda?
I really enjoyed it having a different location. I live across from the Sunset Center. I'm so used to it. And I remember the days when there was the barbecue and it was fun, but having it downtown and having it end at the park was just it felt more community to me. One suggestion I would have is perhaps, if possible, maybe for all the people that committed to walk in the parade, maybe give out a list of who in order is going to be walking. There was a little bit of confusion about, am I in front of you or are you in front of me? So I thought maybe that might be helpful. But I absolutely loved having it in the park, and the way they decorated it was so much fun. So it was great.
Thanks for that, Wanda. Yeah, we've experimented over the years with how we have organized the walkers. Previously, we did have cones set out for them. I got thrown off a little bit because we had the ambulance and the fire truck staged on that street. So we would have had a little more room, but I would like to do that again, where just like the vehicles, we have cones with the little grape stakes in there saying this is where this group is, because it does help. You're right.
I thought that the parade went very well, and I asked some of my volunteers that first night if they wanted to bring our Monterey's 250th big birthday cake. That's an art cake. And then they said no, but we're going to do a big witch's hat with some of your recycled material. And so that's how that came about. It was hard. We tried to stay together as a unit, but people just started joining the parade, which was very cool. But then it was like, kind of crazy. But I thought ending up in the park was so cool. And everyone always follows drummers, no matter where they go, or bagpipers. So I thought that was really great. And, you know, since there wasn't any announcements, I mean, we didn't really care where we were because, you know, people weren't going to really know who we were anyway. So I think it went very well. And I loved being downtown, and then going back and eating downtown was really fun too.
Okay, any other comments?
Just thank you, Leslie, and all of the volunteers, and Ashley, because we could see it was really a lot of work for the staff and everyone that participated. And we were in the 1923 fire engine, but our banner never made it to us, but that's okay. They thought we were firemen.
Well, yes, and thank you, Donna, for that reminder. I was remiss in not starting off my staff report with this. We couldn't have done it without our volunteers the day of. Nancy was there with us, Deanna and Diana, and then all of the library staff, and Robin from City Hall, who helped with traffic control. Rochelle Lightfoot at the police office police department was a huge help, figuring out the change to Mission and 6th. And then helping us the day of to clear Ocean Avenue. So it was a real team effort. We couldn't have done, Leslie and I couldn't have done it alone, obviously, because we're only 2 people and it's a lot of blocks of street. But so thank you, everybody. And we've got lots of good ideas for next year, and it'll be very fun, I think.
I just want to make one last comment when whoever just said, you know, and then we went out to eat. So instead of having the hot dogs, the restaurants might appreciate that it is the end of the day, and now you're already in town. Why don't you just go and grab a bite at a restaurant? So I think that kind of helps everybody. So
yeah, I mean, and that again was part of my hope, was that there's always, as you all well know, sometimes a little bit of a divide between the business community and the residents. And I think that events like this can bridge that, and really emphasize and enhance that community feeling of, oh, hey, we're downtown. Yeah. Let's grab a bite to eat, just as Ellen did, or take our kids trick-or-treating for the retailers that have that, or whatever can happen. And it just makes it a really good community feeling.
I just looked at next year, and of course, Halloween's on a Monday, and all the kids wear their costumes to school, then they can come right to the parade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was my hope and my thinking, was they would, come right after school.
Their parents can make it a whole day, one day with a costume.
Yeah.
okay, well, thank you. Any other public comments that anyone? No? All right. Let's receive an update on the farmers market and discuss. Ashley again, yes. So farmers market, of course, continues to go well. We've had a few new vendors in and some out. We're going into kind of a quieter season, so you may see some vendors drop off for the next few months and then come back early in the spring. The other thing we've been working on with our farmers market manager is having a farmers market component of the Home Crafters Marketplace. And so we've been working on all of the details for that, which one of our vendors are available to participate on that Saturday and what that's going to look like. We're also talking to the market manager, again, still trying to flesh out how we do, some sort of third Thursday type of thing in the park if it's a pop-up event, and trying to talk to our local restaurateurs who, as you know, I mean, some of whom are short-staffed. And so how does that look? What does that look like? Can they participate? Do they want to, is this good timing for that type of thing? So continuing to explore those options and ideas, but at the very least, our regular market is just hopping. And that's my big report for that. comments, questions? Wow, I guess we're all happy with the market. I know I am.
I do have one question. So the weather as it changes is, as I recall, you do it kind of as long as it's not like really, 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 really windy and dangerous and or very, very, very rainy. Is that still kind of the model that's applied?
Yeah, so I usually try to coordinate with the market manager. We start talking, a couple days out and keeping an eye on the weather. We know something's coming, and we'll usually cancel either the night before or the day that early that morning, because their vendors are up at 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning getting ready to harvest and come here. So we try to give them enough warning, advanced warning. So that will still stand. We may close the market down around the holidays. We did that in the past, but I think right now our market manager is doing a survey of the vendors and seeing who's available if we did a market on the 23rd, which is that right before the holidays, so everyone can do their holiday meal shopping. So we're looking at that, and we'll see who's available for what. But yes, weather is always a concern. It seems like we've been lucky the last couple weeks with the rain overnight. It has been just drizzly and nice, but typically if the rain comes in, it's a windstorm on top of it. And that's just, not only is it no fun for shoppers or our vendors to be out in the cold, but it is dangerous with those tents, even with the tent weights, to stand underneath them. It's not good. So we want everybody to be as safe as possible.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, thank you. Receive updates and discuss the 2021 special events calendar for the city of Carmel-by-the-Sea.
So we've got 3 more big events happening this calendar year. So this Thursday will be our Veterans Day ceremony. We're working on that with American Legion Post 512. This year is the 100th anniversary of the laying of the cornerstone for the Memorial Arch. So this will be a little bit different in the past years. We're going to start off at the arch with the ringing of the bell. Members of the American Legion will say a few words, and then I've engaged the bagpiper again, and the bagpiper, Greg, who is wonderful, will lead us from the arch back to the park, where we will have our normal Veterans Day program and event. And I don't anticipate that it will go longer than probably noon. So we have Council Member Bobby Richards speaking, a member of CalVet coming, and members of the American Legion. The farmers market will be happening that day, and I talked to both the market manager and Post 512 about this. Everybody's okay. What the market manager is going to do is stop music there. And I'm hoping, actually, by having the Veterans Day event the same day as the market, is that we draw the attention of some of our community members who may not have been aware of the ceremony, or may not have been aware, or they may have been aware of it and thought that's not for them, or they didn't know what it was about, but to actually see it in action and hopefully participate. So I think this will be good and an interesting thing to happen. So that will be happening, again, starts at 11 a.m. this Thursday at the Memorial Arch. And we will have chairs in the park. They'll be spaced out. Public Works will be bringing those down. And then we have, I can't remember which troop of Boy Scouts, but we'll have our Boy Scouts here to help us set those up and get everything rolling that day. And we're going to do a similar setup to the 9/11 ceremony, because that was really terrific how they pulled that in nice and tight to the corner of the park. So that's what we're going to try to model after. And then the next event is Home Crafters. Leslie, do you want to talk about Home Crafters, because you've been working so hard on it?
Sure. We're getting there. We have over 50 vendors. We did have some drop out because of COVID concerns, or they just didn't have enough product because of supply issues, that kind of thing. But everybody is excited about it. And thank you for all of you for volunteering to get up at the crack of dawn and watch the sunrise in the parking lot. And I will get the time and your location and all that information to you very soon. I'm just finalizing some details. As Ashley said, we're working with our market manager to have a farmers market component, and that looks like it will be in the upper lot of Sunset Center, so near the box office, so that they're 2 separate areas, and we'll have signage and that kind of thing. But otherwise, I think we're doing okay. It's just getting up at that awful hour and getting out there and getting it done, but then we get to shop all day.
Yeah.
Yeah, Leslie?
Yeah, Donna?
why is is the farmer's market component so many different booths? There's no room on the lower lot?
Well, at the time we thought about it, yes, we were, when we didn't know how many vendors we were going to have, and it was just kind of a talking point. And there's also like a little difference between the craft show and a farmer's market. So we were kind of discussing with the health department, and it's easier to do them as two separate places so that they don't mix.
Thank you.
And then, Leslie, I just want to add on that, well, Leslie was working with Church of the Wayfarer and All Saints, who are going to have their own craft fairs that same day. So we have some joint advertising that we'll be doing with them, because that's always a question that we get on the actual day of home crafters, is I heard that there is another craft fair. So you'll see posters starting to pop up around town. Representatives of Church of the Wayfarer and All Saints offered to take, we had postcards made with all the details and locations of everything to take around to the hotels and to the retail shops. So those will be going out. So we've got pretty good advertising ready to go out for that event. And then that brings us to the holiday tree lighting, which will be a fun event this year. I am working on the advertising for that one as well, because it's less than a month away at this point, which I can't believe. You'll see the lights start to go up hopefully soon. My goal is to have at least partial lights up throughout town in time for Thanksgiving week. So it's festive for Thanksgiving week. I'm not sure if that will happen or not. We're going to try. For the actual day of the holiday tree lighting, as per usual, Santa will arrive at 3:30. He's going to come in via the Luverne, so the fire truck, which is always fun. So he'll do a little parade through town before he gets to the park at 3:30. We will have our menorah lighting at 4:30, and I've been working on that small program for that. Same spot in the park that it has been in the past. And then the tree lighting, we've typically had a big holiday program with the stages and all of that happening. We've been talking with the schools. Because of COVID, we're not going to do the big singing type of program. We'll have one panel of the stage out so that we can usher Santa and the council on, and they're visible, not from the street, but visible, so that we can flip the switch on the holiday lights. The day of the tree lighting, we're going to keep all of the lights off all over. All of the holiday lights that the city puts up. And when we flip the light for the switch on the tree, all the lights will come on in the park and down the medians of Ocean Avenue, which I don't know if any of you stood there waiting for the countdown last year at 5 p.m., but it was really cool to watch all the rainbow lights come down Ocean Avenue. So we'll do that, and that'll probably be at 5:15, so earlier than we've normally done. And then I do have a special component of this event that I've been working on. It's a little different for this year. That I think will be a fun surprise for our community, and there'll be more on that to come.
Well,
Donna.
well, I believe we will have some some music, background music.
That's correct. I worked with Glastonbury on that. So they're going to be, we always have KION in the park. So they'll probably, I haven't heard from them yet, but they'll probably be filming the event. Glastonbury will be there. They'll have secular music going for us, so it's all inclusive, and I'm looking forward to that. And that should cover the whole park without being overly loud and obnoxious. And they'll probably set up in a similar spot that they do on Ocean Avenue. It's my intent to keep Ocean Avenue closed all the way over to the plaza like we've done in the past, because we're going to be coordinating with the plaza because they will have their event. Sunset Center is not going to this year, but the plaza is working on something. So I want to keep that closed so that people can cross the street safely. 10 minutes till the lighting of the tree, we'll make an announcement to encourage people to come out and stand there in the street so they have a good view of the tree and can see it as it's lit. I think that'll be really nice. And what was I going to say? Something else you asked, Donna, about
The music. I know the Christmas carolers are going to be at the plaza from 3:30 to 5:30.
Mm-hmm. So it's going to be a nice festive day all around, but we'll have that going, and it should be a fun afternoon.
Thank you.
And I'll probably be reaching out to all of you like I did last year for during that last week or the first week of December, last week of November, kind of straddles both, for help decorating in the park once we get the lights up.
Yeah, that was fun.
It was fun. It is fun. And we'll be looking at getting some new decorations. We need to replace the reindeer looking a little worn from last year. So we'll be looking at doing some replacement types of things with that. So if anybody has any thoughts or suggestions, send me an email or call me and let me know what you think.
And Linda does the best wreaths. We're going to let her do them all.
I can do that again.
And I think that's it for our events. That'll bring us to the very end and of an interesting event season post-COVID or during COVID still.
So we'll get for future agenda items, we'll get the new calendar, the 2022 calendar up so we can start discussing the events like Culinary Week and things like that, right?
Right. And we'll do after actions for Veterans Day, and we won't, I think we will have had the tree lighting, so we'll do an after action of tree lighting as well.
Home crafters, yeah, we'll have all.
And home crafters, yeah. We'll have a bunch of after actions for our December meeting.
Right.
And this December meeting will be Zoom until
The
February.
December meeting will be Zoom. At this point, the council is looking at returning to in-person meetings, likely in February, and it's contingent on finding an alternate location to the City Hall Council chambers because the chamber is just too small for us to do. So that's actively being worked on. What are our alternate locations and what equipment do we need to ensure that we have the ability to do a hybrid meeting? Because it's not just, is there enough space for people? It's some people may still not want to attend in person, but should still be able to participate either via phone or Zoom. So that's in progress. And I would think that it would apply to all of the boards and commissions as well. It might take a couple more months to roll out to them, but that will be important.
February meeting will be Zoom.
It will likely be Zoom. They'll probably start off with the council first. So I would say probably March or April, depending.
And Ashley, I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention at the last city council meeting, or maybe it didn't happen. Did the timing of our commissioners and leaving, and did they finalize that, or is that at the next meeting?
That's at the next meeting, at the December meeting.
Okay. All right. Anything else anyone would like to add?
Not really, but then I won't be particular with 3 inches extend the wall.
All right. I think that's it. Ashley, Leslie, thank you. Thank you everyone for attending today.
Thank you all very much.
Great to see you. All right. Bye.
Meeting's adjourned, yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
20,800 square feet, right? When I counted on the buildable area, it's 1,100. It's almost like half of the